Hi everyone, welcome to week number 2. I'm going to share with you guys my mind map that I just got started on this week. And this is just rough ideas of the timeline of my life and just a few very big parts of my life that really shaped my faith and my worldview. So for me, I think the biggest part of my life is my faith because it affects everything that I do. I am a Christian. I do believe that Jesus is my Lord and Savior. And for me, that changes everything. There's not one part of my life that it doesn't affect. So that's why that is the biggest circle in my picture. And this diagram, there's so many different ones to choose from. But at the end of the day, he is in it all and over it all. It's not just one piece and it's not just number one. It is everything. Other big pieces of my life that have shaped and been impacted by my worldview and identity because they affect each other is my family. I grew up in a Christian household, so they helped form my faith. But there was a certain point in my life where I had to decide for myself, okay, is this what I want to believe? You know, what else is out there? And really take on faith as my own and not just say, well, this is what they believe, so I have to believe it, or I'm just following what they're doing. Other areas are work and school. This includes, elementary school and primary and high school. All of that is so structured, and that has a huge influence on what we believe about the world and what we know, how we understand it. But especially the college years, because that's when we get to decide if we go to college, where we go to college, what we want to learn. And working, where you work, what you decide to do, that environment can have a huge impact on just shaping who you are, especially in those young adult years where you're starting to work and you're transitioning from the structure of, primary schooling into adulthood. Love and relationships. Who are you surrounded by? Who are your friends? Who, is your significant other? If you have one, this includes, to me, this is connected to family. But in my life, the people that I was closest to had a huge impact on me. And I'm sure you've heard the saying, you're like the 5 people closest to you, so choose wisely. And then other areas of influence, and these are kind of in the background, but they influence us nonetheless, is our culture and society. So where we grew up, what the cultural standards and norms are, and this even includes the time in history, because even where we are right now today in our locations, 50, 100 years ago, were very different, and that was because of the culture and society of the day. All right, and this is my timeline. This is my rough draft, and you'll notice a lot of it happens within about 10 years of time. I was born in 1998, so from birth through, I just basically said age 15, that was a lot of just formative years of being brought up in the church. But it was about age 15, 16 where I really started to take faith on as my own, get more curious, start learning more intentionally, start getting more familiar with the Bible and small groups in church, and really starting to have a personal connection with the Lord. It went from knowing about him. I knew a lot about him, but it was about that time in my life where I started to actually get to know him for myself. And really, it's that transition that changes everything. And from then on, that's when I got baptized when I was 16. And I thought, oh, well, life will probably get better and easier. And it actually got a lot harder and more complicated. But with all of that challenge and trial just in living life, my faith has grown stronger. And I'm so thankful even for the hard times, because my faith would not be as resilient as it is today if I hadn't gone through those times. And a lot of that is summed up in this timeline of entering college, in my first year of college, having really a hard struggle with anxiety and depression. And I didn't know really anything about either of those. I thought people who struggled with those were basically getting help all the time and weren't around in normal everyday society, but that's so not true. It's not normal, but it's not unusual. If that makes sense, it's very common. I just didn't know that. So experiencing it for myself was a big wake up call, and really opened my eyes to the people around me who were dealing with the same things. I just didn't know it. Yeah, and then continuing on from there, I did some community college, did some Bible college, which really strengthened my faith, helping me just understand what I believe. I knew what I believed, but helping me understand it even better. Got to go to Israel for 2 weeks, which was amazing. Being able to actually see the places I was learning about in person was really eye-opening, and it really made it feel so real, not just like just this made-up place that we read about. It's a real place with real people and real history, and it's very exciting to see that with my own eyes. Yeah, and I started working. Did a couple different jobs, worked at a conference center, did housekeeping, worked at a little boutique for a couple years, and I've been doing nurse's aide, CNA work for about 4 years. So seeing all of those different sides, especially the nursing work, also really opened my eyes to mental health, but health in general and the reality of aging and what life looks like when we get older. And we're all very fragile, and our lives very short in the grand scheme of things. It's a very humbling experience. And all of this has definitely shaped how I view life and how I want to live it. And the rest of my timeline is a bunch of flowers because I don't know what's going to spring up. I don't know what the rest of life is going to bring, but I know that I will keep walking with the Lord and keep learning about Him. And no matter what the experience is, come my way, I'm excited. I'm not afraid. And I know it's not always going to be easy, but I have peace walking out the rest of my life. And yeah, that my faith definitely impacts how I look at not just my past, but where I'm at right now and my future. And it gets me excited rather than nervous. So this is the beginning of my timeline, and I look forward to tweaking it throughout the rest of this class and hearing more from you guys. Thank you.